Welcome, Franklin County residents, and thank you for tuning in to the Candidate Forum for Franklin County Magistrate District 5 Democratic primary election held May 17, 2022. I'm J.C. Young, and I'm honored to serve on the Chamber Governmental Affairs Committee and your MC for this event. The office of County Magistrate is difficult to define. The men and women who serve in these roles wear a plethora of hats. They're expected to be economists, meteorologists, architects, attorneys, agriculturalists, public figures, and the list goes on seemingly forever. As you all know, the primary obligation of a county magistrate is to serve on fiscal court, and fiscal courts in Kentucky hold an immense amount of responsibility. Amongst other duties, fiscal courts have the authority to enact ordinances, issue regulations, levy permissible taxes for the purpose of statutory obligations, appropriate funds for county roads, provide for the incarceration of prisoners, fund and hold elections, oversee operations in the county for many public functions. The office that you're seeking was created in our original 1792 Kentucky Constitution, and it's worthy of candidates such as yourself. In this candidate forum for the 5th District Magistrate, we're honored to have Mr. Hank Schweickart and Mr. Richard Tanner. Before we begin, I'd like to thank and recognize the Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce, the Frankfort Plant Board, and our historic newspaper, the State Journal. Serving as our esteemed panelists and moderators, and those that are doing the real work in this function, are Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Tish Shade, Chair of the Chamber Government Affairs Committee and Frankfort Plant Board Communications Director Kathy Lindsay, and Editor of the State Journal Chanda Vino. Candidates, you'll have 2 minutes for opening remarks with 1-minute responses to questions and 30-second follow-ups if asked by a panelist. We have a timekeeper, and I would ask the candidates to be respectful of the process and pay attention to the time allowed. We had a draw prior to the forum, and opening remarks are going to begin with Mr. Tanner, followed by Mr. Schweickart. Mr. Tanner, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you. First of all, I do want to express my thanks for the chamber and the plant board and the newspaper and everybody for putting this together and allowing us candidates to express our views so the public can make a decision on how they want to vote. Thank you all for that. My name is Richard Tanner. I'm a candidate for the 5th District. I'm an educator, I'm a farmer, I'm retired from the Kentucky Magistrates and Commissioners Association. I'm a veteran of the National Guard, the Army National Guard. I've been married for over 50 years and I've lived in Frankfort for over 30. It's an honor to have learned through many of the committees that I've served on here. I have been on the health department, which has been phenomenal during this COVID crisis. They're one of the most premier in the state, and I was glad I got to be introduced to those people. They're fantastic. I've told you some of my qualifications, and I moved here in 1990. That's basically where I'm at right now. I'm very oriented to be, let me get the right word, expressed my opinions, very likely to do a good job of it, I hope. Thank you very much.
Mr. Schweickart, 2 minutes.
All right, my name is Hank Swaggart, and I will be button number 1 on Election Day. I moved here in 1984. I have worked for Kentucky State University for 34 years. I am in the process of retiring now. I'm a farmer and a father, and my wife's a school teacher, so we have been doing this, 6 months. We've been on this campaign trail, and I've met so many nice people. And I've met some characters, and I'm a little bit of a character too, so it's been a really enjoyable thing, and I've learned a lot about local government, stuff I didn't know. And the more I'm out and the more I talk, the more I learn, and the more interesting it is. And so it's like every day I come in, I'm wore out. I planted corn all day. And it's like, I got to go at least 3 streets. And you go to the first 2 or 3 houses and it's like, bam, you're ready to walk. Get on that golf cart and go, go, go. And I've enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. But I will be glad for the 18th so I can slow down. take life a little easier.
Our first question comes from Chandavino, and since you started, Mr. Tanner, we're going to start with you, Mr. Schweickart. You have 1 minute for your first response.
Thank you all. We revisit this question just about every election cycle, it seems. Do you think it is time to revisit the issue of a merged city-county government? And what benefits and drawbacks do you see to a merged government?
Well, I can tell you right now that I have had several people bring that up, and it's a no. I mean, they were really point blank. No, we do not want it. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you're trying to say, well, you know, we could get rid of some of these offices. We could combine some of these people that only work, you know, some days they don't do anything. No. We moved to the county for a reason. We in the county, we county. We not city. If we wanted to be city, we would have bought a house in town.
Mr. Tanner, 1 minute.
That question has come up many times in this county, a couple of times back. It's been beaten very handily. But for me to say that I'm a for or against something that I cannot see, there has to be a plan developed first. How could you say that I'm going to be against a plan that doesn't exist? Or how could I say I'm for a plan that doesn't exist? So once that plan is put on the table where everybody has a chance to review that and to make an intelligent decision, I believe I could say, I can't see a plan right now that I would actually could be for, but there could be one out there. So for me to say I'm absolutely opposed to that, I could not say that I would be. Thank you.
I have a follow-up question to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Many of the services by the city and county are redundant. Take, for example, developers, builders. They all get frustrated going between offices and following different rules. Do you think that a joint city-county planning and zoning office would be beneficial? Yes.
I believe that any time you can work together with a city is beneficial. There should be as many interlocal agreements between the city and combine as many committees as they can to streamline those things you just mentioned. There's no reason not to do that.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's some offices that people have days that they're not doing anything. That would be fine. But building and zoning, you know, you call down there, they're overrun. When you talk to them, they're overrun. So if we did that, we'd have to take the people from both offices and make them into one, not just, you know, do away with one office and say, we'll just use the city people. We'd have to lump it all together. That's the only way it would work because we couldn't get everything covered.
Our next question comes from Kathy Lindsay. We're going to start with you, Mr. Tanner.
Okay. Well, just earlier, Mr. Schweickart, he commented about campaigning and going out and talking to people. I know you all have both been doing a lot of that because it's just part of a campaign trail. So in talking to people, what are you hearing is the biggest concern here in Franklin County, you know, that they're interested in or think needs to be addressed? And then what's your response? What's your solution? How would you address what issues they're bringing to you?
Well, there's several issues they're bringing up. It's broken down sometimes into areas. Economic development relating to infrastructure is obviously very important because of the sewer and water issues down in the Coobrook area and down 127. If we're going to have economic development, which is another major topic, we have to have sewer and water to open that corridor up. There needs to be high-speed internet to all of Franklin County. That is also another issue that comes up occasionally. And as we pointed out earlier, the other one is interlocal agreements or combined city-county government. That is also another one which we've already discussed.
Well, on the broadband, from what I understand, the county's already give out or promised $3 million, and the plant board's promised $5 million. Yes, so the broadband is pretty much whooped. We don't, you know, quit worrying about that. Sewer and water, yes. We got to fix it. We got to fix it. We cannot have the high percentage of our water being lost to leaks. We can't have sewers running out in the creek. Another thing is, I'm finding out in the county, and like Richard said, there's a difference. Streetlights. People are scared to death. Their little neighborhoods don't have a light. The kids can't go out on the street at night. Ladies, no disrespect, are trying to go from their car to their house, and they're afraid because it's dark. So we need to check in on streetlights even. Just a few, not a bunch, just a few.
Next question from Tish Shade is going to be directed to you. 1 minute, Mr. Schweickart.
Okay, what is the role of the Kentucky Capital Development Corporation to fit in with your vision of economic development for our community? And would you support the fiscal court's continued funding of this organization?
We discussed that once, and I think my answer then was, I really don't know a whole lot about it. I've looked and studied a little bit more on it, but I would have to see what they have brought us. And if they haven't brought us anything, then no. I don't think we need to keep throwing money behind money if the people are not giving us anything, you know. And that's just my feelings. If you're not going to produce, we're not going to pay you. You know, there's no sense in keep on kicking the can down the road. The good old boy club has got to go. It's got to end. So either it's going to produce or it's going to be gone.
Mr. Tanner, 1 minute.
I believe that KCDC needs to be funded. I believe it's an integral part of economic development for this county. The magistrate's role is to set policy, and that policy is generally set through the budget. So if you don't fund economic development, then you're not for it. So if the magistrates aren't, their job isn't to micromanage. That's for them to do. You can't, if they're funded and they're not doing their job, they have a committee or commission that's over them that can take care of that. That's their job. The magistrate is to set policy, and that policy would be to support economic development in this county and city.
Next question from Chanda Vino is going to be directed to you, Mr. Tanner.
The fiscal court is responsible for promoting economic development and to also preserve our unique historic natural resources. Without dancing around the question, yes or no, do you support Buffalo Trace warehouses locating in Peaks Mill?
I'm going to dance around the question. The Buffalo Trace is a very good partner for this community. They've supported many agencies and issues here that are nonprofits and everything else. They've done that for years. They're wanting to expand out. I think they got $1 billion expansion going on out there now, which will be warehouses in several places, probably more than one county. Probably, as you know, one going to Anderson County, maybe one in Shelby County or whatever. But I would hope that people in Franklin County that are concerned about Peaks Mill and Buffalo Trace can come together and work out some kind of mutual agreement so they can continue their partnership here in Franklin County.
Mr. Schweickart, 1 minute.
I don't dance. I'll just let you know that. I'm for it because there'll be roughly $7.1 million come into this county from that project. Half of that will go to our schools. We've got to have better schools. We've got to have better equipment. And then the others can go to roads, parks, a swimming pool, things like that. But so yes, I'm all for it. And to be honest, I just planted corn Saturday in the very field that they're wanting to build those warehouses. I just moved around all those surveyor stakes, just kept going around them. I know exactly where it's going to go. It will not be, it'll be on a main highway, but it'll be kind of tucked back up out of the way. So it won't be a big, ugly eyesore. But yes, I support it because we need that money.
Next question comes from Kathy Lindsay. It's going to be directed to you, Mr. Schweickart. 1 minute.
All right, my question to you is, what do you have to offer your constituents that your opponent does not?
I listen real good. I talk a lot. And with the job I had at Kentucky State University in the extension program, we would go see a farmer and he'd have a problem. Well, in my phone, I would have 50 phone numbers, and I would hunt up on my phone the exact person that I needed those people to talk to. You know, it's like somebody was talking about a ditch that run down beside their house. They couldn't get the county to clean it out. Well, we need to call the road department. Here, I got this number. Let's call them. We'll get them out there, and if they say no, then you just got to live with the answer is no. But if it's yes, then, hey, we're good. So I would take, their problems and find the correct person and match them up with that person and follow up to make sure that they had it.
Mr. Tanner, 1 minute.
Experience. I have 30 years experience working with fiscal courts in the state of Kentucky, all 120 of them. I have seen all kind of issues in every county in this state. I have seen problems. I have worked with the legislators and trying to solve some of those problems with those counties or help them to solve them. If experience does matter, and I have the experience. You don't have to be trained when I get to fiscal court because I'm going to know what's going on. I understand government. I understand what government can do for you, and I understand how many times government touches our lives every day. I am experienced, and I am ready to go.
Next question comes from Tish Shade, and we're going to start with you, Mr. Tanner.
What is your vision for improving the business climate in Franklin County, and how can we be more competitive with our surrounding communities?
Well, we touched on that just a little earlier, I believe, and we need to combine all the offices that we can to make the buzzword is one-stop shopping, and that needs to be pursued. Interlocal agreements with the city, which makes people who want to come in this county and city go one place to find out everything they need, and including the economic development and all the rules and regulations that they have to have. Most of them are already going to know all those, but there's no need of them going all over town to try to find those. We have to have our doors open for those people. Community development is very important too in order to get people here. Your community has to be livable, and we need to work on that to make sure that it is. I think it is, but everything can always be improved on just a little.
Mr. Schweickart, 1 minute.
Well, the first thing, we got to quit dragging our feet. When these companies come to us and they start talking, then it's just like, well, let's meet about this. Let's meet about this. No, let's have a meeting. Let's bring them in. Let's get ahead of them before they go to Anderson County and start building warehouses up there on 151. We need them here. So we got to get on the ball, get off our butts, and do something. Or we're going to keep losing every company that comes in here. Everyone that comes in, we drag our feet. Let's meet. Let's talk this one. Let's just have one great big meeting. Get everybody in a room and give everybody, every little information. Let's get it done. Don't drag this out 6 or 8 or 10 months till where they get tired and they go to Shelby County or they go to Anderson County or they go to Woodford County. That's been the problem. People come in here, they want to work, but then we drag our feet and they leave us. And we're sitting here like, well, don't know why they left, because we didn't tell them nothing. We didn't get them nothing. We didn't help them do what they needed to do.
Next question is going to be from I've lost my place. Changervino, directed to Mr. Schweickart for 1 minute.
Are you in support of the current Lakeview Park plan? And how do you think the Lakeview Park upgrades should specifically be funded?
Well, they have talked about a hotel and a restaurant tax. I don't know. Yes, we need some stuff. We do need some upgrades over there. But would I put a swimming pool there? No. I farm that area. It's sinkholes. Underneath sinkholes is caves. We do not need a Corvette museum in Frankfort. When they pour all that concrete, they put that water in it, and we wake up one morning and it's a security camera showing there's no pool because it went down in the middle of the night. Yes, we do need more activities for the children, and we need a better place, an amphitheater. We need a good amphitheater where people can come. Used to be a picnic with the pops out there. They stopped it. We need to start that back up. We need more activities like that, and that park can provide the facility to do that. So, but we'll just have to see how to pay it. Maybe we do it stage at a time. You know, get a little money, do it. Get a little money, do it.
Mr. Tanner, 1 minute.
Yes, I support most of the, especially the parts that deal with more areas to have recreation, more of that. As far as the pool and the other structure that's going out there, that needs some more review. It needs more study. It's awful big when you're talking about a convention center of 70,000 square feet. And how then, even if you scale it back, you're talking about a great deal of money. Yes, you have to work. That can't be faced alone by the county or the city, and it's going to have to be grouped together. There's several ways to pay for that. One of them is a bond issue voted on by the people. So you can decide right then, you put that on the ballot whether or not it's going to go because the people vote yes or no. This is not a referendum state, so you can't put the question on the ballot, but you can put how you pay for it on a bond issue. The other one is a restaurant tax, and that's a possibility. And there's some other feasible ways too that you could incorporate in that. But you're going to have to work together to get that done, and you're going to have to visit that and scale it back.
Our next question comes from the incomparable Kathy Lindsay. It's going to be directed to you, Mr. Richard Tanner.
Okay. Well, like I said, y'all would both be new. If elected, you would be new. Neither one of you are an incumbent. So what do you think is the key to a more efficient and effective fiscal court? And what qualities do you have that would help promote the efficiency and effectiveness?
Well, first thing you got to do is put your egos aside. You can't bring them to the fiscal court. You can't talk over somebody and listen at the same time. You have to work together, and you have to clear all that out, and you have to start listening and paying attention to what each other has to say. You have to work together towards a common goal, and that is to make Franklin County what it is, the capital county of the state of Kentucky. And it can be, and it should be. But it has to have cooperation, and the egos have to stay at home because everybody has to stay focused on the issue at hand and not worry about what they may or may not say.
Mr. Swaggart, 1 minute.
Well, right now the fiscal court's split. You got the three amigos and the four horsemen. I mean, if you watch it, that's what you see. There's 3 to 4. Somebody's got to go in there and bring them back together. But they're so divided right now, and there's so much history. There's history to all this. Well, this one said that, and said that. I don't like this. I don't like it. No, this ain't kindergarten. So we got to get somebody to pull them back together and say, hey, me and you talked the other day, me and you talked the other day, and we talked about the same thing. So let's get over here and talk about this together. And, you know, and the history. People remember things you do 2 years ago. Those people sitting in there are like, well, he did this to me 2 years ago. Well, come on, let's get with it. We got to get together or get out. If you can't get along, then let's, find into something else. I don't know.
Next question comes from Tish Shade, and we're going to start with you, Mr. Schweickart.
So what does smart growth mean to you, and how would you address the need to infill within our community?
Well, smart growth is these empty warehouses and these empty lots and all that. We need to bring things into those. We don't need to keep going out of town. Let's rebuild warehouses or something like that. Because there's already streets there, there's already sidewalks, electric, water, gas. We don't have to worry about pulling a water line out Owington Road or 151 or wherever. Let's be a little smarter about what people has abandoned, redo it, tear it down, rebuild it, whatever. But let's use what we have. We don't need to just keep building out.
Mr. Tanner?
That could get into sprawl. Some people call it urban sprawl or rural developments, according to that, whatever word you want to use on it. But smart growth would be to use all your existing facilities or your infrastructure that is there now wisely. But if you stop your growth, if you stop your infrastructure and rely all on what is already there, that might not fulfill the needs of the people who want to come here, because you must have community development included in that, and that a community people want to live in. And smart growth is to try to be wise about who you recruit, that they fit in, as well as using what's here to start with, which is abandoned buildings and et cetera. You could take one out here. The AOC took the Home Depot and turned that into another. That's smart. But then there was controversy to that.
We've now come to a time that our questions are over, and we're going to ask for closing remarks. We're going to start with you, Mr. Schweickart. Final words. You have 1 minute.
Well, like I said, this has been a journey, and I've enjoyed it. Granted, Richard is a nice feller, and I'm not as polished, on speaking as him, but, we pretty much said the same thing. We both had the same ideas for the county. We just said it differently. And I plan to work hard, work together, and like I said, talk to this one, tell them, hey, we just talked about the same thing. We got to get together. We got to get the fiscal court together and stand as one unit, or we're going to keep losing these companies, and nothing's going to get, no sewer's going to get fixed, no water's going to get fixed, no street lights, no anything, because we're just going to be sitting there going, and it's got to stop. So I plan on, where I know all this side, I know all this side, bringing them together, talk to them, just have little phone conversations or, coffee somewhere. We talked about this, we talked about that, let's do it. That's my plan.
Mr. Tanner, 1 minute, final words.
Experience matters. I've been around long enough. I have worked with the counties throughout this Commonwealth. I have experience working with fiscal courts, and I understand it. I understand government, I understand what it does for you, and I understand the ways it touches you every day. I served on the health board here, for example. It's one of the premier things because they work together, they understand that, they understand how this town works, and they've done a great job. If I'm elected, I can hit the ground running. There's no training. There is no training curve for me. And I will say one thing about Hank here too. I don't know anything bad about him. If I did, I wouldn't say it.
As we close, I would like to personally thank both of you for seeking this office. You have put your name on the ballot, spent your own time and money, skipped out on family events only to serve your community. And I want you to know that it's appreciated. You both done a great job in this forum, and I wish you the best in this election. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind everyone of the election date, May 17th, 2022. There have been some election law changes statewide since the COVID pandemic, and if you don't know where or how to vote, please call the Franklin County Clerk's Office, 502-875-8702, or check out their website. It's loaded with current election information. Voting is a right in this country provided by our Constitution. It's been an honor to serve as the MC for this event, and I would like to thank all the folks that aren't on camera for all their work to make this possible. I'd like to thank the Frankfort Plant Board, the Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce, and our lovely paper, the Historic State Journal. That concludes this forum, and I thank you for joining us.